work session for August the 26th, 2024. The invocation will be provided by the Legacy Senior Living Chaplain David Riggs. Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Commissioner Scott Gilbert. Please stand. Amen.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome the Director of Schools, Dr. Cash, and also the District 2 nominee for the Senate that has about 400 votes in South Bradley County and Valley View area. Mr. Tom Hatcher is here. He's presently the Circuit Court Clerk for 30 years up in the Maryville area, and we'd like to welcome you here. At this time, we will turn it over to the mayor for the report from the county mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. Nothing major to report this evening, but I would like to mention the tragic fire that everyone knows about by now from yesterday evening. Not only was a home destroyed, but 3 lives were lost in that fire. But I ask everyone to please remember those people in your prayers. My understanding it was a father and his 2 sons. All lost their lives in that fire last night. Make a note, the County Commissioners Regional Meeting that we were able to host here annually is coming up September the 9th. Please check and see if you can attend and let me or Lori one know, because we have to turn in a count. That's not next week, but the following Monday night at 5:30 at the Elks. So if you can attend, we'd appreciate it. And also, you have a resolution in front of you. You authorized us to surplus a little strip of property on Stewart Road. You not got it over there yet? Well, it's on its way around. You authorized us to surplus a piece of property on Stewart Road where the development across from First Baptist is going on. It wasn't worth much to anybody except the people involved in that project. So we only got one bid, but it is $4,000 for a piece of property we didn't even know we owned. And so I'd ask you to put that on the agenda next week so that we can proceed with the sale.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, it's 3rd.
You got it?
Got
okay.
it.
Huh?
Yes, right.
Okay. That's all I have, unless someone has a question for me.
Anyone have any questions for the mayor?
Not, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Reports from committees and our districts. We'll start on our left with Commissioner Rogers. Commissioner Rogers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing to report tonight, but adding to your welcomes, would like to welcome Zach Brooks from Senator Hagerty's office here tonight as well.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't recognize him being out there. Snuck in the back. Okay. Commissioner Ledford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to send condolences to those victims that lost their life in that fire. Also, the gentleman that lost his life in the industrial construction accident. I remember his family. And don't forget tomorrow night, Republican Party meeting, 6:30 right here. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason, please.
Nothing for me tonight, thank you.
I'm sorry?
Nothing for me tonight, thank
Oh,
you.
great. Okay. Commissioner Slater?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report tonight.
Commissioner Goins? Commissioner Thompson,
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Gilbert.
I have nothing. I have nothing to report. Miss Houston, are you here? Is Miss Houston here? Can you speak right at the end? We'll run right through this real quick and you can talk right at the end. Would that be okay? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That it. Commissioner Winters, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the opportunity this weekend to walk through the streets here and see the most beautiful cars, the car show that was presented. Went back through the years and saw the cars that have been part of my youth and some that I really like to have had to drive. It was a great time, and this is a free show for everybody to come through. So hopefully when they do a car show again downtown, we'll all participate. Also was able to celebrate with Dale R. Hughes and Avery Johnson, their retirement from the city council. We're losing a brain trust there in the city council. We had two fine young men that are joining that council and replacing them, so it was great to be there today. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Blake,
Thank
please.
you, Mr. Chairman. All I got is that Finance Committee will meet on September the 10th. That's a little bit different than our normal schedule, per the request of the Finance Director. I guess they're finishing up budget, whatever, and all the amendments for reserve accounts. So didn't want to do it on that Monday because commission at noon. We moved it to that Tuesday, September 10th, same time, 11:30. Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Alford, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. Looks like second district's doing well. Nothing to report today.
Commissioner Hughes,
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to report tonight.
Commissioner Beatty.
I have nothing to report either.
Thank you. There being no agenda items, we'll move directly to communication from the audience. I will provide you 5 minutes to speak, and anyone would like to speak, please. Mr. Houston, Miss Houston, please.
Thank you. I am here tonight on behalf of my neighbors and myself regarding a fire hydrant that is located on my property on Georgia Bell Circle. We had moved in 2011. We had the fire department come out for a non-fire situation, thankfully, in 2015. The firemen came to my home. They advised me that the fire hydrant was too low, that it needed to be raised to a proper height. They advised me that I needed to call my water company, which is a co-utilities district. So the next business day, I gave them a call. I let them know what the firemen had advised me. They sent someone out, and several days later, I got a letter in the mail, which I have in my hand, stating that the fire hydrant was fine, that it needed no repair, so to speak. It did not need to be raised, that it was fine, so it's not been touched. In May 29th of this year, my 82-year-old neighbor's house caught fire. She's right across the street from this fire hydrant in question. The deputy sheriff responded quickly. My husband and the deputy sheriff was able to get Maggie out of her home. The fire department rolled up and they quickly got to work to put the fire out. However, they couldn't use the fire hydrant. They had to connect 3 hoses together and drag it down to the bottom of the hill across another street in order to get her fire put out. This took precious minutes. It did more damage to her home than should have. The deputy chief, Troy Manny, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, he came to my home where we had taken Maggie. He spoke with us. He spoke with Maggie. He spoke with the fire department, the firemen, who were complaining about the fire hydrant, that it could not be utilized. So he, to my understanding, spoke with the co-utilities district. Within the next day or two, they told him that it would be taken care of, that they would call me, the homeowner, to discuss a necessary repair. They never called me. I put it on Facebook. A young lady advised me to contact Mr. Gilbert, which I did. He's been very patient, very nice. I explained the situation to him. To my understanding, he and Deputy Chief Manny went to a co-utility district directly, spoke with them. They assured him that they would take care of it, they would get it fixed. As of this coming Thursday, it will be 5 weeks. They have not contacted me at all regarding raising this fire hydrant. Maggie's house is maybe 25 yards from the fire hydrant that should have been able to be used. There's a great number of homes in that area. There is a great number of homes that are surrounded by trees. There is a subdivision behind ours. If a fire was to catch a good wind, especially in the cul-de-sac behind me, it's no telling how many homes could be destroyed. And we work hard for our places. Material things can be replaced, memories cannot. And I think their negligence shows me and others in the neighborhood that they simply don't care. That's the message they're sending to me, that they don't care.
Go ahead.
So I had talked to Miss Houston, and I called Tim and asked and told Tim, I said, Tim, Miss Houston's fire hydrant is not high enough off the ground. It will hold a small hose, but it won't get the big hose or something, a connector. I don't know what it is. So I called the chief, and he said yes. He said the big hose would not fit on it. He said, but that didn't prolong them from running down the road. They run down and hooked up to the hydrant that was down the road and started putting the fire out. But Miss Houston needs her fire hydrant fixed. And he was telling me it's just 4, 5, 6 inches if they could fix that for her. I don't know what the fix is, but I did call him, and he told me he'd get right on top of it. And to this day, she said they drove by, but they haven't stopped and even looked at the fire hydrant. So if there's anybody that can get anything done with that, we sure would like to have that fixed. Thank you, Miss Houston.
Howard, why don't we consider getting with Lori and having a letter sent to Mr. Houston? I think 3 times of asking for assistance. I understand it would be an expensive proposition once you lay the water line in and put a hydrant. It's not easy reason. You know, and I'm sure that they're probably trying to get out of it some way, but the letter might help. Get with Lori. We need make sure you've got the address.
I have that.
Lori. Anyone else, please?
Thank you, sir. My name is Michelle Jones. I am a member of District 1, or a resident of District 1, and I've been very involved in the SPCA as a volunteer. There has been some things that have been going on that has our concern, primarily based on what the board has been doing and the condition of the SPCA. It has come to my attention that there was a cashier's check that a board member went and got, that then gave to another board member. When this was brought up by an employee, they said, well, this was to reimburse her because she's been working. Worked there about 2.5 weeks. Well, if you do the math, even if she worked 80 hours a week, you're looking at $56 an hour. She actually was only there about 15 hours each week. The concern is the fact that she is an actual board member who then cashed a cashier's check. If she was there as an employee and paid as an employee, then taxes should have been taken out of this check. That is an actual law. That is an IRS law, that any employee that works needs to sign paperwork, I-9s need to be filled out, W-9s need to be filled out, and it needs to be done appropriately. When this was brought to the attention of the board as to what this was and what was going on, that employee was then fired. She was actually asked to resign. She refused to resign. She felt like she was not in the wrong in asking about the financials. She was then let go. Our other concern is the fact that meetings are being held in closed doors. This is a 501c3, which is a public organization. According to the Sunshine Laws, all meetings should be public. Anytime there is anything voted on or brought up, needs to be a public meeting. Supposedly, they had decided that she was going to be a non-voting member, and that is why they could pay her. At the last June meeting, actually at the May meeting and the June meeting, she actually voted. So all of this came about after everything was done. I have a lot of concerns regarding the public of the SPCA. They ended up being closed for over a week. They are something that is there for the benefit of the community. Nobody could go there to adopt. Nobody could go there to foster. Nobody could get there to get any help. I actually have 2 dogs that I am fostering from them. I could get no guidance whatsoever. Their phones were not being answered, and no one was there to answer the door. As a public entity that is also receiving funds from the county, there should be no reason why those doors are closed for as long as they are. I understand that in the past 2 years, they have received more than $500,000 from the county. Yet, they repeatedly say they have no money to do anything. Back in May, there was a meeting regarding the rat infestation that was going on. ServPro came and said because of the hazmat situation, there was a lot that was going to need to be done to go ahead and get this cleaned out, to get all of that out. They were actually consuming all of this waste, all of the mold. They were breathing all of this in. When it was brought up to the board several times, they were like, well, we really don't have the money for it. A board member finally made a private donation to go ahead and pay for that. That bill was about $2,200. So it really concerns me that they did not have the money in the account of $2,200 to pay for this, yet they had $4,500 to pay a board member. I recommend that all of you go and visit the SPCA to see the condition, to see what these animals are in. I also recommend that the board be held accountable. One of the things that I am requesting is that there be a resignation of the current board members and a new board being put in place based on everything that has been going on. I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Thompson.
Ma'am, is the sign still, is the fence still locked in? The sign
No,
on
sir,
it?
they actually are now open to the public.
Okay. And the reason for that was what now?
They said it was due to changes in personnel, that it was closed. And that they have the right to close. They did do an announcement stating they have the right to close it to the public when they are at capacity. My concern with that is they took in an overabundance of animals that really put a hardship on that facility and the animals currently there. So to have it closed to the public where they can't come in and adopt is doing a disservice to those animals. Unfortunately, the animals cannot speak, and it's up to us volunteers to speak on their behalf.
Commissioner Slater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to comment on a couple of things that you shared. You're correct, they were closed to the public, but if you follow them on social media or see anything about them, they were open by appointment only. So residents could go and use the shelter if they called and made an appointment.
That was actually posted about 5 to 6 days after they closed.
Number two, the employee that you're questioning is a 1099 employee. They have completed all the correct paperwork to be an employee, and they are a 1099 employee. While you may not know, a 1099 employee does not have to have taxes taken out of their check.
That is correct.
They pay the taxes at the end of the year.
And if you see when she signed that, she signed it after that check was given to her.
She's still a 1099 employee.
All of this should have been put in place prior to writing a check for $4,500.
Anyone else? Commissioner Thompson.
Do they have a date that they're going to reopen, or?
They opened as of, I believe it was Friday, last Friday.
I noticed on the sign, I went by there and I noticed on the sign, said if you got a problem, call the sheriff department. Of course, I called the sheriff and he said before that he wasn't in the dog business. And, so anyway, I don't know why they keep putting that on the sign, you know, call the sheriff department.
Yes, sir.
So, it looks like, I don't know what we're gonna do about it, but we're gonna have to do something about this animal control. We don't have no control. In fact, we don't get our money's worth. And that's not, you know, it shouldn't be that way. What they're getting in revenue and what they're taking, I'm sure they're get donations.
Honestly, they actually have not received much donations for general funding. I'm very familiar with 501c3s. I worked with 501c3s for about 15 years. And one of the primary positions of a board member of the different organizations I have been involved in is for fundraising. However, they have raised funds for a new facility, which have been sitting in an endowment for quite some time. The only fundraiser that was given in the last year was by volunteers and volunteers only. So the board has not been proactively working on fundraising. I actually approached them to help them with the gala, which I got no response. With my experience and the type of events that I've been able to put on, I said I was willing to donate my time for that.
Commissioner Hughes, please.
Ms. Jones, if I may ask, I'm very unfamiliar with the way the SPCA actually works, their working organization. But my understanding, there was only one personnel change. Is that correct?
There was only one personnel that was fired. I
And-
do believe there are a few other that have left, but I cannot
Well, that's what I
confirm
was
that.
going to ask is, I'm sure there are other employees and volunteers through that time they were closed. Did those employees quit or just not show up, or what happened there? I don't understand why they were closed that entire time.
That is not something that I honestly can speak. We do have a few people here from that do represent, and they may be able to speak on that behalf. I do know there was issues, and that's why it was closed. And very valid point. When you only let one person go, and you have a board of 5 to 6 people, why couldn't they step in to be able to keep it open?
And if one of them wished to speak and answer that, I would love to have an answer, just because I still question why, with one person, why the doors were closed.
Yes, sir. We actually have someone here who is a staff member.
Mr. Chair, would you please make sure they state their names before they speak?
Yes, make sure you repeat your name.
My name is Danny Womack. I work at the SPCA. I am the volunteer coordinator, and I am also the pet placement supervisor. I actually walked out that day, but they were more worried about getting the dogs the enrichment that they needed instead of just the dogs, instead of just the dogs and the cats. So I ended up going back the next day to care for the cats. And I have been working there the last week in cats. And I don't really know. A lot of people did quit. Melissa was a great director. She always uplifted us. She was an amazing leader. And it honestly hurts us to know that we couldn't even trust the board to come in and care for the cats and the dogs. I'm not just one animal in particular.
Can you repeat your? I was unable to understand your name.
Danny Womack. Sorry.
Danny Womack. Commissioner Winters?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. What did the lady do to earn the money that you're talking about?
According to the board, she was the liaison. They never really clarified what the liaison did. So we were all in a loop. We didn't know what a liaison was, what she was supposed to be doing. They never really clarified that with Melissa, so she could not actually clarify that with us. We asked multiple times. Melissa reached out to the board. She's actually got multiple emails from or to the board that she reached out to and asked what a liaison was. It was very unclear what that is.
So you don't have a job description?
No.
Okay. So who did she work under? You, or who was her supervisor?
We don't know.
You don't know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Thompson.
Does the, is the board members, is that volunteer, or do they get paid?
They are volunteer.
They're volunteer?
Yes.
I thought I heard you say something before there that
They ended up paying one board member as the liaison. Actually, their bylaws do state that no board members will be paid and receive compensation. Then they came back and stated, well, she's a non-voting member, although she has voted at different meetings on different things. So we have gotten different information each time we ask them based on their bylaws and things that have been done.
We don't have the county attorney present with us tonight, but they are a 501c3.
Yes, sir.
All right, the county's connection to the 501c corporation is the fact that we have a contract with them. They are supposed to provide services, and I tend to agree with Commissioner Thompson that occasionally those services are lacking. But we provide them the facility as part of the contract. And for a small rental fee, I forgot $1 a year or something. But I just want to make clarification. We don't have the authority to go in there and remove people. We had 2 commissioners on the board of directors, and both of them were removed. So one resigned, the other one was told to leave. So that's where we're at there. But the contract doesn't require that we have 2 commissioners, but we did at the time. I just wanted to make that point. Anyone else before we move along?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Question. The board member in question that you're speaking about voting, was it a roll call vote or was it just a voice vote?
What happened, actually, she voted when it was brought to the board for the resignation of one of the board members.
But was it a roll call vote or was it a voice vote?
It was a voice vote. It was
Okay.
a yes or no.
I just question that
Yes, sir.
because I'm a part of a bunch of 501c3s as well and go to board meetings a lot. And there are times where I might say yes, no, but my vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It's just out there, right? Just me saying it. So I'm just asking is if it was a roll call vote that she was called or he or she was called by name, or if it was just a voice vote and that person spoke up when they shouldn't have spoke up. That makes
No, they actually asked all those that were present to please vote on the removal.
But they didn't go name by name and ask.
I'll be honest with you, that part of that I don't remember that part. I do apologize.
Just curious. Thanks.
Mr. Thompson, please.
have you got everything straightened out now?
No, sir. There has not been a board meeting. They have canceled the last 4 of the 9 board meetings. They have been meeting behind closed doors. So as the public, we have not been able to go to any board member meetings.
Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner.
Mayor, what we need to do about that? Okay.
Mr. Ledford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, I heard you mention earlier about the contract, $500,000. What's this 3rd year? What are we paying them, Mayor?
And that was in the last 2 years, not just 1 year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say it's like We started out 229, 240 something, and then this year's
Yeah,
like.
probably total is what she's talking
Yeah,
about.
okay.
Total in 2
I
years.
just wanted to
Yes,
make sure
sir.
you understood it wasn't
Oh,
one
no,
year.
that,
Okay.
and I said it was the total in 2 years was $500,000. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And the biggest concern is the fact that we had a sewage issue. We went to them to see about getting that fixed, and it was always, we don't have the funds. We had a rat infestation issue. We went to them for the money. We don't have the funds. Yet that they have the funds to pay this board liaison quite a bit of money for being there 2.5 weeks. And yet the facility, there are definite things that need to be fixed.
Anyone else?
I appreciate, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, you got looked over here twice. Come on up, please.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Your name, please.
Yeah, my name is Danny Britt. I live in the Chestnut Grove subdivision, which is just off of Menace Road, south of Benton Pike. And I just wanted to share some things that's going on in our area. A lot of development. For a long time, didn't seem to be, much going on out there. Not many houses being built. But now things are really, really popping. There's a subdivision off of Durkee that I understand that could have 500 homes when it's built out. There's one on the south end of Menace that has 135 homes and townhomes. There's a subdivision of townhomes right there at Michigan Avenue and Menace that I understand is going to have 200 or 198. And then there's one in the planning stage that I guess may come to y'all at some point, but out off of Benton Pike that near the golf course that plans for 500 homes, a little over 500. So our question is, what do we do about the roads? That's a lot of traffic. In the eastern part of Bradley County, people come through Menace Road. They want to go over to Hall Huff. Probably some from Polk County come down through there. No. But there's a lot of vehicles and on an inadequate road system, at least I think, that they're inadequate. And I know some of the roads are in the city, and I've been to the city 3 times in the last 3 years, or 2 years of hearings, and complained about the roads or needing improvement. So I don't know how these roads stack up as far as priorities in the county. That's not my job. It's somebody else's, and it's I guess y'all's to decide what do we do about improvements to the road system and how do we get the funding, and maybe you have all of those answers already, and we if you do, we'd like to know that.
A lot of those developments, or most all of them, if not all, are annexed in by the city before the development is started. And the city takes responsibility for the roads that service the area that they've annexed in. That has not been done on Menace Road. We have sent a letter to the city requesting that they take responsibility for the road. Now, the dilemma that we're faced with, let's just accept the fact that they were going to take the road. The development that they have ongoing, that they've annexed and taken the road in, normally you have a service plan that goes up to 7 years plus or minus. And it's up to the city on the priority of how they implement that service plan. That's their fault, their responsibility. And we're working on it, I can assure you.
Yeah.
We're working on it. But it's a city issue when they take in the road, not a county. And, we have, it's hard for the private citizen to understand what city and what county because the city won't properly mark the city limit signs on these roads, on all of them. They're getting better. We're doing some of them now, but not all of them. So we've got pockets all over Bradley County that's been annexed.
Yeah, I know which one's gonna be county and which is gonna be city on Menace because I live there.
Well, there's no subdivisions on Menace Road that's being developed that will be county. They're all city.
I understand that, but there's a section of Menace Road between Old Power Line and down near the school, Michigan Avenue School, that's still gonna be county. And Benton Pike is all county until it gets down near the whirlpool. Is that my time? Oh.
That's your time, but what we've done, the letter that we've sent to the city covers that part that you're talking about in front of the school. That Menace Road services that new subdivision across from the school. It services those townhomes they're building. So we have asked them to accept responsibility for the road.
I think we may be talking about different school. There's still gonna be some county road. That's county responsibility, on Menace Road.
Yeah, I understand. I now know where you're talking about from the four-way stop sign to the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
above the
Mr. Thompson.
four-way and below the four-way, yeah.
Yeah, that's from, the four-way down to Benton Pike. That's what you were talking about, the area there that goes by the vineyard and all that.
It's, if
Back.
you go from Old Power Line down to the entrance, where the school, Michigan Avenue School, across Benton Pike,
Yeah,
that section in there is still gonna be county.
yeah.
Cause I don't think there's no subdivision right adjacent.
Right, the city's taken, we've requested the city take in from Powerline Road down to 64.
I think that's right.
And so we haven't, that part there hadn't been brought into question yet, but it should be because there's going to be a lot more traffic.
Yeah.
And we understand that. And of course, we have a lot of problems like that throughout the county.
Right.
And of course, we have some subdivisions, developers have given property to widen the road. They've donated property to give to the roads, you know. But sometimes it takes a lot of money to develop, widen roads, not so much as paving, but to widen them. And so we've talked to the road superintendent about this several times.
I'm sure you have.
So hopefully that it's infrastructure is what it is, and it's the planning of it, and the roads are usually not planned when it comes to the subdivision.
Yeah.
So.
And the Benton Pike section, all the way out to the golf course, that's all county as far as I know, and
Right.
will stay in the county section.
As far as we know, we never know what the city's gonna do.
Well, I don't know either, but that's my complaint, I guess. Thank you for the time.
Commissioner Winters,
Let
please.
me share one bit of information to you. We had a meeting, this is election time for state representatives. And we had a meeting with our state representative, Dan Howell, who is he's a chairman of the Transportation Committee in the state of Tennessee. And has, all right. And the point that we got to with him was that there's going to have to be at some point some help from the state for the fastest growing county. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Tennessee, is how the state will find funds so that our road superintendent can have some funds to do these kind of situations. So there is some movement, obviously slow, but by the state looking at particularly at the hot spots that we're talking about here, of how the state could come through our representative and take a look at it. So we're looking at that, and that's it's kind of pie in the sky right now, but at the same time, there's a possibility of that. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else, please?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
I am also a resident of the Chestnut Grove subdivision. My name is Barbara Thompson. I have the same concerns as Mr. Britt, and one of our main concerns is the section that we're just talking about, which is the Benton Pike Menace Road area. We currently have a four-way stop there, which would be great if everyone understood the rules of a four-way stop, which unfortunately a lot of young drivers do not. All right. We are requesting that maybe at some point a traffic light could go up there because we have a school at one end going towards Water Level Highway. We have Michigan Avenue School right there. Down the street, again, although I understand it's going to be city, is the townhome development. By the Bradley County Fire Department, they are now building quads of 4 sections of homes. Old Power Line is seeing a significant development there. Even though it's city, county, we are going to get that traffic. And we can't imagine what it's going to be like for us to try and get out of our subdivision and not be able to get anywhere because the traffic is just so bogged down. So a traffic light, we think, would certainly at least help alleviate part of that issue. But we just don't understand how so much development has suddenly happened in an area where we have lived for 20 years and there was nothing. And yet every time we turn around, we've got a new subdivision going, D.R. Horton building up the street. We've got the power line. We've got the area there by the firehouse. We've got the Menace Road and Michigan Avenue. And we're sitting there in our nice little subdivision, just feel like we're getting swallowed up.
The development is all over the county, ma'am, not only your area. I mean,
I know.
It's about 1,400 units plus or minus a few.
But it is a concern because we do have a lot of school traffic. We worry about that also. And just wondered if there is anything in the future that would allow for widening of the roads at some, whether it be county or city, just to relieve some of the traffic that we know is there.
Commissioner Mason, can you put that on the agenda for about the traffic light at that four-way stop?
I will, and if you'll get with me afterwards, I'll get your name and phone number, and I'll get with you.
All right, thank you.
We'll have the road committee look at it and get with the road superintendent.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Anyone else, please? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to follow up. My name is Cody Burham. I reside in the 3rd District of this county, and just wanted to follow up on some statements that Michelle Jones provided to this commission, and also to provide some additional information to Commissioner Slater on her comments to Ms. Jones. In regards to social media postings, I brought awareness of this issue to our community on Facebook and was subsequently blocked from SPCA. So I was not able to see that message that they posted. And besides Facebook, SPCA has not posted that anywhere in this community. If that was the case on the reason why they closed, then that should have been on their fence with close to the public. I believe that that came after the fact because it took a week for them to give that excuse. And it was an excuse. We heard from Dan, who is a great employee. And, you know, unfortunately, we lost Melissa Smith, who was an advocate for animals in this county. A lot of things, the improvements in the facility have been because of her. And I think it shows that employees leaving and not wanting to return is a testament to Melissa Smith and her efforts there. I also want to bring up the fact that, you know, even if this payment to this board member was legal and appropriate, how does that look to the county? How does it look to the commission that this $4,500 payment was made to a board member if it was legal? I mean, that money could have went towards animals, the employees, and the facility. But, you know, they had no problem issuing the check, and that board member had no problem cashing that check. And that's a problem. If that gets out to the community and they hear that, what do you think? That's not good. That's not great. The whole point of SPCA is to serve this county and to provide the animals care that need it the most. And that's what was being done before the wrongful termination of Melissa Smith and the mismanagement of this facility. The next thing I want to just point out, and I won't go because I know Michelle covered a lot, but going back to that payment and the facility, we can all take a field trip tomorrow if they are open to the public. We don't know, but we can all go tomorrow at noon. And I encourage you, please, I do. I'm a volunteer. When I first went to this facility, it is in bad shape. Unfortunately, last year, it was even in worse shape. But thanks to people like Cassie Stevens and her husband and other volunteers in this room, we have made improvements to that facility. Home Depot generously donated $15,000 grant to our facility. That is amazing. But unfortunately, work still needs to be done. There are HVAC issues. There are electrical issues. There are multiple issues with the puppy room. I mean, puppies not having adequate air condition, heating. That's not right. There's holes in the wall. There for a long time, there was no ceiling tiles because there were rats falling from the ceiling. There was feral cat residue up in the ceiling. And our employees had to deal with that and had to go on for a long time, going in there every day. And they complained several times. Nothing was done. So, you know, again, I please encourage you to go to this facility tomorrow at noon. You know, I'll gladly join you. I'm sure a lot of the people here will gladly join you to go walk around the facility and show you what bad a shape it's in. And if after that field trip, everyone in this room feels comfortable with this board member taking $4,500, you know, I would be shocked. I really would. And just a couple more things. There have been 0 fundraising initiatives that the board members have set up. All the fundraising initiatives, especially in the last year, has been done by volunteers and business partners in this community. Every time we go to a board meeting, there is nothing talking about campaigns. There's no trying to raise money. And, you know, this board member who took the payment, I took 2 hours out of my work day. I work from home, but I have a pretty work schedule I need to attend to. But I took 2 hours of my time talking to this board member and, you know, was told actively that other board members had stepped back and did not want to do much anymore because they didn't feel appreciated. How do you think the animals feel? How do you think we feel as a community? We don't feel appreciated. We need a better staff. We need a better board. And I know, you know, Mr. Chairman, you said that you don't have a power to call for the resignation, and that's fine. We just want to get our voices heard and find a way to get this issue resolved because everybody's main purpose here is to serve the community and the welfare of these animals.
I believe your voices are being heard. The banner's sitting right there. You're on TV, county, worldwide. So I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think you're being heard, sir. It might not look like that from the small number of people in attendance, but you're being heard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're very welcome. So thank you. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
I supported the new building they was gonna build on Dalton Pike, and I've always liked the world about animals and cats and dogs. I live on a farm. Now, I agree with part of what y'all said, but I can tell you something about Melissa. She needed to go, but I didn't know she was gone to today. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because I'm a commissioner. Part of that money, you know, we the one to donate. I went out there 3 times. The last time I went out there, I went to the office there. They said she's in a meeting. And I said, I'll look at the cats and dogs. And I went back and looked at the cats. And then I went over and looked at the dogs. And I come back. They said they notified her that I was here. But she'd left for the day. Okay. I give them my telephone number. I said, tell her to call me. She never did call me. That was back at the end of May. And lost my thought, but the reason I went out there to see how everything was, you know, like you said, and everything, see how everything was, and talk to her because she was blocking people on Facebook. And I didn't even, Melissa was. And I didn't know nothing about it down the line. This woman I know I went by there because I live on a farm. Like I said, I sold her beef. And it'd been 6 months. I hadn't went back and collected my money. And she was telling me she was blocked off Facebook. She spent $30-something thousand out there. She adopted some of the animals they couldn't get rid of. She shipped them up north, and she spent out of her own pocket $30-something thousand because some states do demand that they be neutered and spayed. But I don't think Melissa's all that good a director. I ain't said nothing about this to now.
Sure.
But, you know, I don't even know her. She wouldn't even meet me or to return my telephone call.
Right. Well, and I appreciate that, Mr. Commissioner.
But I agree with part of what you said.
I respectfully disagree. I think the issue is from the top down. If there was an issue with the director, then that's the board. She has been.
Well,
let's just.
I was told to go see Miss Dunson, you know, about it and everything, but I
Sure.
never did go.
Right. Well, first off, I would like to say on her behalf, as I've witnessed there at the facility, for the volunteers who do still show up and participate, I believe I know who you're talking about, and she is no longer an active volunteer. So, but you know, Melissa deals with a lot of stuff. She dealt with a lot of stuff. She is the one, and her staff, such as Danny, who see the animal abuse cases and who deal with the emergencies. So there may be times that if she leaves for the day, she's still working. She's done a lot. She's encouraged people in this room to be here. And if if we are going to classify people's voices by payments, which I don't think is fair, I've donated my time and also some of my money as well. So, I get this person's issue with her, but I don't think they understand what the director's job is. And as far as I know, the board of directors don't have a set task for her anyways. The liaison role, as was told
But
to
I
me
ain't
by
never
the
talked.
director.
I ain't never talked to the board members and everything.
Sure.
It looked like me, Melissa would have had the courtesy to call a commissioner back. Just want to speak to her.
And maybe that she didn't get that correspondence. There's probably just some miscommunication.
That girl wrote it down right there. I watched her write it down.
But I don't think.
But
that
how
that
come
alone,
she leave and she knowed I was there?
I think the test.
And I was going to work at the dog place
Sure.
for 10 minutes and
I
come
agree.
back.
Everybody
and she
should be
just come out of that
acknowledged.
meeting. She could said hi or something.
Everybody should be acknowledged in this room or in this community if they reach out. But I think the main issue is the care and quality that she provided for the 3 years that she was there. There has been no issues with animal quality. You'll hear rumblings about some missing water bowl or something, but there has been no issues with animal quality there at this facility. She has taken really good care, and I've adopted 2 animals that needed immediate care, and it was because of Melissa and her staff that they were treated and given the treatment that they deserved. One of them was recently put on Facebook with a traumatic eye injury, and it took Melissa and her staff to give the care that she needed.
Thank you very much, sir. I
Thank
think we've gone over the 5 minutes just a little bit. Next, please.
My name is Michelle Shimpaw, and I do rescue in this community. I get calls from SPCA, used to, in Bradley County, in Cleveland Animal Control. My problem I have is I'm not getting into the issue with the funds or money. That's none of my, not my concern right now. My concern is me, and along with many others, have been blocked from Facebook, SPCA. We worked to move dogs north. Melissa would not work with us. We've begged for the last 3 years. She blocks us. She won't work with us. She says, well, until I get an apology, I'm blocking you over a dog. We tried to move dogs. She said, no, I need to keep them for an event. They're highly adoptable. I'm not sending them north. Move what you can move north. This town has got way too many animals. And as far as I'm concerned, that Home Depot grant, putting a gazebo out there when you could have fixed other issues, that should have came as a priority, not a gazebo to do adoption events. And that's the way we feel about it in the community. There's a lot more that needs to be addressed here. And I'm, for one, that's glad Melissa is gone. She would not work with rescues to move animals out of this community.
Thank you very much. Anyone? Yes, please.
Good evening, County Commission. Thank you so much for the time. My name is Cassie Stevens. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but there's been some, I would say, maybe a little misinformation and maybe a little getting off the topic. The topic that we wanted to talk about this evening is the SPCA board. I understand that you're saying it's an independent organization. I hear you, Mr. Chairman, I do. However, it is funded by taxpayer money. So Mayor Davis should be concerned by this. We all should be concerned by this. I am. I'm a taxpayer, and it's also funded by donors. I've been involved with the SPCA for over a year. I've been volunteering there. I started just walking dogs, just coming in to help. I kind of fell in love with the little staff there, and noticed the facility was absolute garbage. Can everybody raise their hand who's been to the facility in the last year? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so most of y'all, would you agree with me that that facility is dangerous, hazardous, pretty disgusting? I mean, right, we all understand. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. I don't think I'm being overly particular. So I began going to board meetings in November of the past year thinking, well, maybe they just need some help. Maybe they just need a little fire lit, that type of thing. And what I've found repeatedly is a lack of care, a lack of concern, ignoring major complaints, major hazardous complaints that honestly OSHA should have been called on, and I would have done it, but the staff said, no, we're worried they might shut us down, and then what would happen to the animals? This is a absolute blemish on Bradley County. Mayor Davis, I think we have an incredible county. I'm sorry, Mayor Davis, I just had a question. I wanted to speak with you. Mayor Davis? Hi, I just wanted to say, I think we have an incredible county. Oh, yes, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, we have an incredible county here. I love it. I was born in Missouri, but I got to Tennessee as quickly as I could, and I absolutely love it here. This is a blemish on our county. It is not okay. The way that the animals are treated there, the conditions the staff are expected to work in, and coming in as a potential adopter, a foster, or a volunteer, you have to work very, very, very hard to stay there. I would like actually in the audience, all the people who are here to support what we're talking about with the board, can we raise our hands? Okay. So all these people who work hard, have a lot to do on a Monday night, they came out to support this concept of calling for the resignation of the board. I understand that you all are saying you can't do that, but we want you to know that that is what we are looking for, because there is no reason this organization should be run so poorly. This check to a board member, which again is illegal and is in their bylaws a major violation that was allegedly made behind closed doors, which is a violation of the Tennessee Open Meetings Act. That is just the cherry on top of the sundae of corruption and lack of ethics. So I think we should take this seriously. I understand it's a private organization, but it is partially taxpayer funded. And we should be able to be proud of it. And we can start making changes, but if we have this same board in place, we're gonna see the same thing. These board members have all been there. The lowest tenure is 1 year. Most of them have been 4 years, 5 years, even 9 years. You can't walk in that place. And I'm actually gonna show you guys a couple pictures. You might recognize some of these holes because they've been there so long. But I'm just going to give you a couple of things to, may I do that? May I?
Yep. Stay within your 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a disgrace, and I was hoping to come in with a bunch of other volunteers thinking we could make changes, we could really come into the board, revitalize it, and make this place the way it should be, with fundraisers, with animal care, with adoption events, all those things. We've done what we can as volunteers. The staff, including Melissa, has done what they can as a staff. This comes from the top down. This is the board. This board is toxic. They are unethical, and they have to go. And I want to be on record saying that. I appreciate all of your time. Thank you so much.
We've got a couple of people want to ask questions.
Oh, please, absolutely. I'm here for questions. Bring it.
Are you on the board?
No, sir. I'm a volunteer, as I stated before.
Why don't you get on the board and run it?
That's a great question. I've asked the board multiple times. I've said I would love to be on the board. I've been very, very active as a volunteer, but they have multiple times just brushed me off. So that's a great question for the board, actually. I would love if you would ask them that.
Sounds to me like you need to be on there.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I appreciate that. There's a number of other people in this room, including the two people who spoke, Cody and Michelle, who should also be on the board. But thank you.
Anyone else with a question? Or the lady? Commissioner?
I was on the panel that established your organization.
The SPCA, yes.
That's okay. Our role was to give you all money. You all needed money to get it going. You all are animal lovers. We all love animals, but not as desperately and strong as you all do. There's no question about it.
Fair enough,
But,
sir.
but within that, our goal as a 501c3, we seed $250,000 every year to you all.
Yes.
That's a pretty good amount of money. So we're
not nothing.
We're a part of the team here.
Yeah.
But it seems like you all could get together and establish a board that you all are comfortable with that will do the things you want to have done and go raise money. Some of you raised enough money to build a building or buy property or do all that.
Commissioner Winters, I agree with you, but if I'm not on the board and if the board isn't doing that,
and I'm not,
yeah.
As far as how that board is organized, we don't organize your board. You all organize.
I'm just a volunteer.
Yeah,
I'm just a volunteer,
and I'm not
yeah.
grilling you on this. I'm
Yeah.
just basically saying, our goal, it was a no-kill proposition.
Yes.
You had guidelines that you wanted.
Yes.
We met for weeks with your team putting this together.
I believe you.
And built it in a way that we could celebrate what you do.
Yeah.
And when you needed some, but whoever the directors are and whoever your leader is, that's what you've decided. We did not decide that. We put money together.
Well, I'm just a volunteer, so I didn't decide anything. But yes, the board chair is Steve Anderson.
My point is how it's almost like you got to look inward. Is how this needs to be established in a way that you got people in the power source on the boards and all like that. We'll support a board as you all put it together, but it needs to be people that will be the volunteers started at grassroots to make it happen. But it's really pretty much upon you all to lay the guidelines of these and build it. Yes.
I think maybe I'm struggling. Can someone else help me understand what he's saying? Because we're not on the board. We're just volunteers, so the board won't let us get on the board.
Okay, but as volunteers, if you all want to be a part of volunteers, whoever's in the organization that's making this happen that you're not happy with, there needs to be a way to share with them who could be those that you could volunteer with.
Oh, sir, we have. We go to every board meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Gilbert, can you maybe speak to a little bit of our involvement?
I'll say one thing. I used to have a friend, and every time I'd go to his house, something would get broke. And he'd be the one that broke it most of the time. Sometimes I broke it, but his mama always blamed me. She always said, ask Scotty Gilbert, he'll break everything every time he comes down. So that's all I want to say.
I think I need clarification again on that metaphor. I'm sorry. Maybe maybe it's getting close to my bedtime.
Commissioner Rogers.
It's not everybody's fault.
Commissioner Rogers.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it is the governing board's fault.
There you go.
Yeah, so there is a governing board that makes the legislation. So I guess what I'm understanding is you all don't have any power to request a resignation. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? Am I understanding you?
You're correct, ma'am.
Okay, so I suppose maybe what then I would like to open the conversation, and I think a lot of us are very passionate about this, is what it would take for the county to consider funding a different organization that could actually be run properly and ethically by people who are willing to do things. Because there are a lot of us who are willing to do things and make a place that serves Bradley County the way we should be served.
Commissioner Rogers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Are these for us to keep?
Yes.
Okay, so
I can print more.
Okay, I was going to give them
I just
to
reloaded my printer with ink, so I'm ready.
I was going to give these to our administrative assistant, Ms.
Thank you.
Lori Moultrie, so she could pass them out to everyone on the
Thank you.
commission so they all have access. Could you explain to us, just for understanding, the great news, what is that?
So that was actually, it's funny, I wasn't really planning on speaking. Like I said, I just brought stuff. So that was from 3 years ago when the new director, now terminated director, was put in place. And it just mentioned that a couple of the board members who are still in place, Steve Anderson and Dr. Bart Bain, said how the board needs to be more involved and they're going to be around more, and that has not happened. So I just printed that out more just for a point.
I'm going to say commercial electric.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even get to that. May I?
Do you want to go back? You want to do the other ones? Is this a longer one or?
Sure, we'll save that till the end.
Okay. These two pictures here.
Rat pictures. Yeah, those are in the dog building. Those holes that were eaten through by rats at least over a year ago. Maybe Mr. Gilbert, you might be able to, is that 2 years, maybe 3 years? At least a year ago. Okay, so I know it's at least been since I started volunteering. So those are, again, just part of the facility being so disastrous, which is also why it's such an insult that a board member who is supposed to not be paid, because board members are volunteers, whether they're voting or non-voting, got paid $4,500 when we still have things like that.
Those are
Yeah, just as an example. I've got more. Yeah,
self-explanatory.
didn't want to run through all
And
that ink.
then this,
Yeah,
a
the
commercial.
fan. Okay, so months and months ago, for many months, and again, our commissioner who was on the board may or may not remember, but on these board agendas, the director of the facility would bring up different issues with the facility, say, hey, this is going on, and typically, and Mr. Gilbert, I think you can probably attest to this, there was no response from the board on any facility issues. One of them happened to be an industrial fan that just kind of appeared, but it was broken, it was rusty. They had a handyman come and try to fix it. One of those big, giant fans we all know about. So after months of talking about it at these commissioner meetings, nobody said anything, and she just said, okay, well, this thing isn't working. The handyman said it cannot be fixed. So during our big Home Depot project where we did some renovations, we did some items to improve the facility, the experience not only for the animals, also for the staff and the potential adopters. But we pitched it because it doesn't work, and it hasn't worked. And about a day later, the board chair, Steve Anderson, came to Ms. Smith and said, where's my fan? And she said, what fan? And he said, I dropped off a fan here. And where is it? And she said, I don't really know what you're talking about. They finally figured out that it was this broken fan that was unlabeled, that nobody knew that it had been there and it didn't work. And she said, well, we threw it out. I've brought it up at 4 board meetings and you didn't say, hey, I think that's my fan, or hey, I dropped a fan off, or it has a sticker with my name on it, as one might do if you're expecting something back. I would say typically if you're bringing something to a nonprofit, especially one that looks like the SPCA, you don't expect to get it back. Well, he was very angry about that, and he said, well, the SPCA needs to buy me a new fan.
We've covered the fan. Let's go to Commissioner Blake, please.
So that's what that receipt is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real quick, I was just wondering, have you had an opportunity to look at the contract that we have with it?
So I have looked at it, but I don't have a copy, unfortunately.
I'll have to get you a contract.
I would love that.
So that you can be, we are in a contract with them.
Yes, I understand.
I think we're in our first year. I'm going by memory, shouldn't. But I think, understand, what's in the contract, and the terms and agreements of that contract. It will at least give you an idea of why we can't make a motion, get a second, get 8 or more votes to do anything.
I understand. It's more bringing it to the attention of the commission. I think you all deeply want good things for our county,
As you well know,
and this is not a good thing.
As you know, knowledge is power, and if you know
It
that
is.
contract, what we can and cannot do.
Thank you.
We have to give them a certain amount of money on a certain day, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'll make sure you get a copy of the contract.
I'll make sure you have my email. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Were you
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Were you finished, Commissioner Rogers? I rudely cut you off. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Did we get the point that a personal item for $400 was bought with SPCA money? I think that's what the point was.
I appreciate it. I just wanted clarity on what
Yeah.
pictures, and obviously check stubs make sense. I just didn't understand.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Commissioner Hughes, please.
Here, I'll make this quick. I don't know if Commissioner Blake said it or not. We're in our second year. It's a 4-year contract.
Right.
I do believe that Commissioner Thompson has already referred it back to our county attorney to look into it. So that's where we're at this point. But that contract does go up every year. I think at the end of it, it's over 300,000.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah,
I think maybe it's
I believe it's
260
over
right
300.
now-ish?
It's spelled out every
May-
year.
It is,
We
okay.
had to
Yeah, it
budget.
goes
Okay.
up a certain amount
Thank you.
each year. I want to say
Okay.
it's either close to 300,000 or a little over at the very end of it.
Okay, whenever you get it,
Yeah.
I'll look at it. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Commissioner
Thank
Gilbert
you.
will, Commissioner Gilbert, and he'll be the last one, ma'am.
That's $1,030,000 in 4 years. Is what we're going to be paying them. And by the way, the thing I was telling you, the mama always thought the kid was wrong. Thought I was wrong when it's her own kid.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
understand now, right?
yeah. You never suspect that you're the villain, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much, ma'am.
Really do appreciate it. And we take this very seriously, that we want something that our county can be proud of, that we can take care of the animals as needed and that our residents feel like their taxpayer money and their donations are being used wisely. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak, please?
My name is Terry Haves, and I was a volunteer at the SPCA Bradley County for over 6 years. When Melissa Smith took over as director, she got rid of every single volunteer that was existing, and she blocked the entire rescue community from the Facebook page. The building has gone completely downward spiral, along with the support of the community, with turning away dogs, telling stray dogs to be left where they were found if it was on a busy road, if it was hot out, if it was 20 degrees out. The policies were awful. I can sit here and complain about Melissa all day long, as they might want to complain about the board all day long. But the fact is, with Melissa being gone, 2 of the former directors have stepped up to help the new, there hasn't been a new director assigned yet that I'm aware of, but to help with grants and to help with transports. Former volunteers are coming back to get it back together. I understand the building is not good. It's never been good, but it's never been in the disrepair that it's been in since the past 3 years that Melissa has been director. So there is hope for the SPCA of Bradley County. The community is going to come together and fix the damage that's been done over the past couple of years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Thank you very much. We will now move into the upcoming events. Finance Committee, September the 10th at 11:30 a.m. here at the courthouse. The next meeting will be September the 3rd at 7 p.m. here at the courthouse. Juvenile Committee, August the 30th at noon at the courthouse. County offices are closed September the 2nd of the observance of Labor Day. September the 9th, the Elks Club at 5:30 for the County Commission regional meeting.